What's up guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Diversification. Every financial advisor tells you to do it, but is it the best way to invest your money? Well, maybe not. Many of the great investors actually believe that you should not diversify. For example, Shark Tanks Mark Cuban, with an estimated $4.3 billion, hates diversification and thinks it's for idiots. And then even the great investor Warren Buffett doesn't really diversify. So who's right? Should you diversify or not? In this video, we're going to find out in this battle of the great investors.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Diversify or not? That is the key question. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome back guys to Motivation to Invest. Before we get started, go ahead, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. That allows us to continue creating more great content like this for you guys. In addition, if you would like more investment tips and exclusive stock market picks, which I personally have invested into, then you should definitely subscribe to this channel. Be sure to turn the notification bell on. That way you'll get notified when a great stock is at a great price. So that being said, let's get into the video.
Make one-way bets. This isn't portfolio balancing you're talking about.
No, all that asset management, diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing, right? I mean, I did my homework on Australia, right? I did my homework on the MREITs. I did my homework on MLPs, and their pricing has just gotten crushed.
Diversification. What I've learned that works if you're an investor, no matter how much money you've got, whether it's $5,000 or $500 million, diversification is what saves you from disaster. Having investments in a wide range of businesses and sectors, there's always something working when something else isn't. So today I can go to bed tonight knowing that I have one objective. I want to go to bed richer than I woke up, and the only way that's going to happen to me is to be invested in a lot of different things. Because every day one thing works while three others don't. But sometimes that's why you get richer.
Very interested in your policies on diversification and also how you concentrate your investments. And I've studied your annual reports going back a good number of years, and there's been years where you had a lot of stocks in your marketable equitable securities portfolio, and there was one year where you only had 3 in 1987. So I have 2 questions. Given the number of stocks that you have in the portfolio now, what does that imply about your view of the market in terms of, is it fairly valued, that kind of idea? And second of all, it seems that whenever you take a new investment, you never take less than about 5% and never more than about 10% of the total portfolio with that new position. And I wanted to see if I'm correct about that.
Yeah, well, on the second point, that really isn't correct. We have positions which you don't even see because we only listed the ones above 600 million in the last report, and obviously those are all smaller positions. Sometimes that's because they're smaller companies and we couldn't get that much money in. Sometimes it's because the prices moved up after we bought them. And sometimes it's because we may be selling the position down even. But so there's nothing magic. We like to put a lot of money in things that we feel strongly about, and that gets back to the diversification question. We think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood. And to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness. And it's conventional practice, and it may, if all you have to achieve is average, it may preserve your job, but it's a confession in our view that you don't really understand the businesses that you own. On a personal portfolio basis, I own one stock, but it's a business I know, and it leaves me very comfortable. So, do I need to own 28 stocks in order to, have proper diversification? It'd be nonsense. And within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love it, the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well. And the average person isn't going to run into that. I mean, if you look at how the fortunes were built in this country, they weren't built out of a portfolio of 50 companies. They were built by someone who identified with a wonderful business. Coca-Cola is a great example. A lot of fortunes have been built on that. And there aren't 50 Coca-Colas. There aren't 20. If there were, it'd be fine. We could all go out and diversify like crazy among that group and get results that would be equal to owning the really wonderful one. But you're not going to find it. And the truth is, you don't need it. I mean, if you have a really wonderful business, is very well protected against the vicissitudes of the economy over time and the competition. I mean, we're talking about businesses that are resistant to effective competition, and 3 of those will be better than 100 average businesses, and they'll be safer, incidentally. I mean, there is less risk in owning 3 easy-to-identify wonderful businesses than there is in owning 50 well-known big businesses. And it's amazing what has been taught over the years in finance classes about that. But I can assure you that I would rather pick, if I had to bet the next 30 years on the fortunes of my family that would be dependent upon the income from a given group of businesses, I would rather pick 3 businesses from those we own than own a diversified group of 50. Charlie?
Yeah, what he's saying is that much of what is taught in modern corporate finance courses is twaddle.
You're more diversified. When I look at the way you set up your portfolio, it's not as niche as that some of these.
No, I'm big on diversification.
You're very big on diversification.
Like knowing how to diversify well is more important than almost anything. People don't understand this.
Is that an evergreen principle, you think?
Yes, that's an evergreen principle.
Interesting.
And the reason I'm saying that, the way it is, it's almost like a casino making its money.
Okay.
Okay. The way that you do it is you get an edge. So now when you have to make a bet, I've got to bet against the whole world. The world has a view on something is reflected in the price. So when I think something is attractive or unattractive, that means I have to bet against the whole world and whether that's right or not. That's difficult. I get it right, more often than I get it wrong, but I'm going to get it wrong sometimes. And so when you can take a lot of different bets, what you can do is, like the casino, you'll get your average that your bet would be, but you'll reduce your risk of one of those tables not being the table that's paying off. And so that margin, so I can reduce my risk without reducing my return by knowing how to diversify. And I'd say that's particularly important for the people who are listening, your investors. Because what they've got to
reduce risk without reducing return.
That's right.
That's the specialty.
That's right.
Elaborate a little bit more if you don't mind on that. So reducing risk without reducing the return, because a lot of times if I'm reducing the risk, it means my return's also going lower. But you're saying no, we're reducing it without even reducing the return.
Right.
I mean, that's a high-paying skill set to have.
It's the most important thing that you could start off doing. If you have a number of equally good likely bets, but they're uncorrelated, like the casino. One table is going to make me a margin like this, but take another table and it makes me a margin like this, but I might have volatility about those. Let me take all those investments that I think will make 10%, so that's my return, but they're uncorrelated with each other. That means I'll still get the 10. I don't lower my 10, but my diversification means I lower my risk. So I improve my return to risk ratio.
Is that an art that you can teach?
Oh yeah, yeah. I wrote about it there's what I call a section in this book, the Holy Grail of Investing. It's 3 pages long. And it explains basically this important thing, because when that epiphany happened to me and how I would do it, it changed everything by being able to do that. Because
how old were you when you figured that out?
I can improve through diversification. I can improve my return to risk ratio by a factor of 5. So by diversifying, okay, the return relative to the risk, I can keep my returns the same and reduce my risk to 1/5 if I know how to diversify well, and that's why I'm explaining it. It's not all that complicated, it's simply explained in the book. But in any case, that is the holy grail of investing.
Overall, I believe each of the great investors makes valid points. I agree with Ray Dalio that you should diversify across uncorrelated bets in order to achieve that low risk, high return result. However, I also agree with Buffett in that you cannot know everything about everything, and it's better to invest in a few exceptional companies you know more about than anyone else. So what's my strategy? Well, my strategy is if you don't know a stock religiously and you don't keep up to date with it, then diversify. However, if you have the time and the inclination to research the stock in detail, keep up to date with the earnings, check the annual reports, then you can invest into specific companies alone. Remember, there is no need to over-diversify your portfolio. If you know a lot about a specific company and you have the conviction that it is an exceptional company, then invest hard. However, if you don't, diversify. You've always got to have that self-awareness to know what you know and know what you don't know. For example, Amazon I know is an exceptional company, and when its share price dropped in 2020, I wish I invested 40% of my portfolio into that stock when it was at that great price. However, me being more on the diversification side at that point in time, I tended to invest just a small amount of my portfolio, and I have achieved nice returns and a very low risk. However, I could have achieved even greater returns. Overall, I recommend investing into 5 to 10 stocks of exceptional companies. Research these stocks, research these companies, and split your investment between just 5 to 10 stocks. If you try to invest in more stocks, it may be difficult to understand them all in detail. If you want an entirely passive approach, then I suggest investing into index funds. I have a video which you can check out of my top 5 index funds, so I'll leave that in the link below. I also have a video of my top 5 growth stocks, so I'll leave that in the link below also. Should you diversify or not? Are you Team Buffett or Team Ray Dalio? Comment your thoughts below, comment the word Buffett or Ray Dalio and your reasons why you chose them, and I will join in the discussion. In addition, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. That allows us to continue creating more great content like this for you guys. In addition, if you would like more investing tips and exclusive stock market picks, which I personally have invested into, then you should definitely subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.